Hi everyone, before we start episode 296, I've got to let you know that our 300th episode is coming up really soon. And we've decided to celebrate it by doing another live streamed episode. We are doing it on Saturday the 10th of July at 8:30 p.m. Melbourne time. And you can watch anywhere in the world. All you have to do is get a ticket from sospresents.com. There is a link in the description of this episode. And like our live streams from last year, you can watch along live, comment along with other people as we go out for the first ever time, or you can watch it on catch-up. Watch it at your own leisure as many times as you like. Because it will be very early morning for the USA and about 11:30 in the morning for London, Dublin and Sealand. So yeah, if you don't feel like getting up early, you can just watch it at your own leisure. There'll also be a little quiz or party game show of some description at the end of the podcast that we won't release anywhere else. So yeah, we'll give you a bit of bang for your buck. That is our 300th episode. Going out live. Buy a ticket for 8:30 Saturday the 10th of July at sospresents.com. Link in the description of this episode. Hello and welcome to another episode of Do Go On. My name is Dave Warnicky and as always I'm here with Jess Perkins and Matt Stewart.
Hello Dave.
Hey Dave. Hey Jess.
Hello Matt.
And we are joined this week by a special guest, our good pal, to give us another cracking report. I'm sure it's Josh Earl.
Hello Dave. Hello Matt. Hello Jess.
Hello Josh.
You've obviously been listening to the podcast.
I have. I've learnt your names. I'm very excited.
The exciting intro that we've patented over time.
Not all guests go to the effort to learn our names, so I do appreciate that.
Very sweet.
Should we know that Josh also made the right eye contact with the right member?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well done.
That
You
was
weren't
good.
like, thank you, Jess.
I was like,
Looking at me. Okay.
one doesn't have a beard, one kind of has a beard, one does have a beard.
Yes.
That's how we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the beardless one, and it is my
you're the
greatest
beardless
shame.
Jeez, Dave put pressure on you earlier. I don't know if you noticed that. Another great report
Yeah.
coming up.
Oh, yeah, I know. Because I did the Malice at the Palace last time, the basketball one.
Oh, fantastic. I love it.
NBA Big Old Fight.
I really hope this has a rhyming title again, because I think that was the secret to
It
its
doesn't.
success.
It
Secret-
doesn't. I'm
secret
so
sauce.
sorry.
Jess is one of her hidden talents. Very
Alright.
good at rhyming.
Okay.
Yes.
So she'll be able to come up with an alternative rhyme title.
All
Easily.
right.
She's memorized rhymezone.com.
Oh,
Got it committed.
apparently if you're a hip-hop artist and you mention that you use Rhyme Zone, it's not good.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
that's a real...
You get shunned.
Yeah, a real smackdown moment.
Oh,
Well, you're supposed to just think of rhymes yourself.
Well, I used to think, as someone who does write songs, I used to think that's a bit cheating if you use like a rhyming dictionary. And then I was speaking, not to drop a name here, but to Darren Hanlon, and he said, why would you make writing songs any harder than it already is? Just use every trick in the book. And so
Yeah.
I was like, oh, thanks. Thanks, Dazza Hazza.
thanks for that.
Dazza
get that from-
has us.
Is that from,
Yeah,
is that
that's
from
good.
Rhymezone?
That's from Rhyme Zone. Yeah,
You
that's
type
what
in
I put.
Dazza.
I put in
Says,
Dazza.
have you considered
Dazza Hazza.
Hazza?
There you go.
This thing really works.
His happiness is just a chemical? Is it?
Yeah, that's him. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Did a
Josh.
song with Sarah Blasco, which I used to also call Sazablaza. So it was Dazza Hazza and Sazablaza.
Perfect. Perfect. See, you're not going to need my help.
Someone's also been on Rhymezone.
That's my homepage.
Well, before we get into the report, Josh, which I'm assuring you it's going to be great.
Thank you.
Don't worry about that. You've got a live stand-up show coming up.
I do.
And I think it's going to be in the very room we're recording right now.
Yes, it is. So if you're in Melbourne, I did a show in 2019 in the Comedy Festival called Josh Earl Talks. And I love that show. And I want to film it. I've never had anything on film before. And so the good people here at Stupid Old Studios are going to film it for me. And I have 12 tickets remaining to sell. So if you've never seen the show, trust me, it's really good.
I have seen the show. It was great.
It's probably the best thing I've ever
It
done.
was a really good one.
And I would like 12 of your listeners who have not seen it to go onto
Sorry,
joshearl.com.au
Josh.
and buy tickets.
I'm just online here. 11 tickets.
11
left now.
tickets, yes.
Can't wait. I missed it because we clashed that year.
We
So
did.
I'll get to see it here. What a convenient venue too.
I know.
I spend some time here.
It's
I'll just wander downstairs at the appropriate time.
Well, that's what I always like when you do a show anywhere, like interstate, and you're staying above where you're performing.
Oh.
Nothing better than going, what time's the show start? Right, I'll have a nap up until 5 minutes before I'm on, and then I'll go down.
Wander
And then
down.
as soon as it's finished, I'll go back upstairs and just go back to
There
my
is
nap.
the danger of entering the stage in your pajamas, though, isn't there? Brushing your teeth. Oh, no. I skipped a step.
Having
become
one
too
of those
comfortable.
those really long floppy hats.
Yeah. I assume you sleep in one of
Yeah.
those. Yeah.
And a little like suit with a little flap at the back.
Yeah, perfect.
Little poop shoot.
Yeah.
That's all right. That gives you an extra laugh anytime.
Yeah.
You sort of put your finger in your mouth, turn around, show your butt, flap down. Uh-oh. Whoopsie.
I'm the cutie pie of comedy.
I never want to see that.
You never want to see that?
No.
Oh, come on.
I don't want to see a butt. And a That's gross.
Well, the same people that are filming your show, Josh, also filmed 4 of our live shows that we filmed back at the European Beer Cafe in March and April.
Time means nothing.
What does
Don't
it mean
worry
these
about
days? And you can watch all 4 of those shows at sospresents.com. And we had to edit out a lot of what we said on the show because it didn't make sense without the video.
Oh,
So
okay.
some people may have heard the podcast, but if you want to watch about 10 or 15 minutes extra of us talking to the crowd and hanging shit on each other's appearances, you can do so. As well as we filmed some bonus extra bits at the end where we did a bit of a debrief after each episode.
On my episode, I edited out a riff I was going back to where I named different words for sperm. So that stays in on the video version.
Yeah. That's just a great
Though.
example.
I'm like listening back. I'm like, oh, it's hard to listen to yourself bombing. I will be trimming these bits out, but it was too hard to do on the video. So
how many do you reckon you named?
I think I got to 5.
Were you on spermzone.com?
Yeah.
Spermzone.com.
Trying to work out the alternative. Oh, that's a filthy website. 1,200 worms. Worms.
Worms.
There's one. White worms. That's what I call them.
What was?
Hey, don't thank me. Thank the good people at Sperm Zone.
You left me hanging on the night, but you had good ones ready to go. It's a shame. So yeah, that's available. People can. I think it's one ticket gets all 4 streams, and yeah, please purchase it so that we can pay Stupid Old Studios for their time.
That's right. They said no money down. We'll just split the costs with you. So please buy those tickets. Because right now it's a good deal for us, but not for them. And we love everyone at Stupid Old. All right,
Except
Josh.
one.
Except for one.
And I shall not name them.
Oh, Beck.
I love Beck.
We know you love. All right, Josh. Well, before we get into the report, we'll explain just in case people haven't heard the show before. What we do here is we often take it in turns to report on a topic, go away, do a bit of research, bring it back to the class. And Josh, we don't know what you're going to talk about, which is very exciting.
No, I don't know if you other two know. Dave asked me. He said, "Can I know just in case we've done it before?" And I said, "No, you don't get to know."
Wow.
Love that.
So there's a chance that we've done it before.
Yeah.
He assured me, don't worry.
O.J. Simpson.
Oh, no.
Josh assured me, don't worry, you haven't done it before. And I thought, I can trust Josh.
Yeah.
Josh, there's been other guests where we're like, do you reckon we can trust him? To do a Google?
Do you reckon?
What about the OJ Slay? Okay.
Okay, perfect.
Great. That's the rhyming version. Can you edit that bit out, Josh?
All right, so do go honors.
Yes.
Who is the band that could have been? That is the question. I don't expect you to answer or correctly.
Is the answer Wings?
Yeah. Oh, Wings are a good
Because
band.
Alan Partridge famously said in one of his early TV shows, he's on a radio station, Wings finishes, Wings there, the band the Beatles could have been. One of the great lines.
That's so good.
So,
And it could have been.
Oh.
That's hard.
So it's a band that was at concept stage.
Maybe.
Would we have heard of them?
I don't think you will.
Okay.
All right.
I hope
well,
you
I'll have a
haven't, 'cause
guess.
it makes it better if you have.
Platypus Poon.
Platypus Poon. Oh, mate, no.
You went for alliteration there.
I know.
that's a shocker.
You know when you say things and the word's coming out and you're realising what it is?
Yeah.
And like regretting it?
You could have stopped at poo.
Oh, that's what I did.
Oh,
what did
okay.
you hear?
Is it platypus poo /poon?
Or
No.
pool. What about
Pool.
platypus pool?
Poo.
Pool.
Is there a chance that it's my high school band Weed Hornet?
Oh, man.
Weed Hornet.
Cut down in our prime, Josh.
Oh, no.
We could have been.
Could have been.
It is not. It's none of those bands. Okay, so here we go. Into the report.
Ooh.
So in the late 90s, early 2000s, rock music was in a weird place. The grunge boom was over. Britpop was bloated. And as brilliant as Radiohead are, their album The Bends inspired thousands upon thousands of boring acoustic strummed copycats. I don't know if you've been to parties where some guy gets out, plays fake plastic trees on the acoustic guitar. Time to go home, everyone. Time to go home. Now, that's not to say they
Only
weren't...
Chris Martin from Coldplay.
Yeah. That's not to say they weren't great bands during this time. It's just the music that seemed to get all the radio play and the headlines at the turn of the millennium was angry white men yelling that it was all about the nookie. Were you into those bands, Dave? I reckon you would be. Out of all the people in this room, I reckon you would be the only one who would have rocked like a wallet chain. And
Let me. Matt is feeling seen as well.
spiky hair.
Okay.
Matt just gave me a look that said, "Don't dob on me."
late 90s. I'm 9-10 years old. I'm a little bit too young, but a few years later, see, I'm so out of it that I rocked the wallet chain, 2003, 2004.
Yeah. No, I had a wallet chain.
You had one of those?
Yeah.
I mean, did your wallet ever get stolen?
Never. I also
System works.
got told to wear your wallet in your back pants, in the back pocket, not the front pocket. Had a girlfriend make fun of me, going, "What are you wearing in your front pocket for? What in your back pocket?" That's where everyone has it. I'm like, "Oh, I didn't know. Oh, I better change
No one ever
it."
tells you.
Yeah.
Well, in this case, they
Yeah.
did. I got told as well.
Yeah.
I remember being told.
You were you wearing a wallet chain in 99?
I remember on a hardware store. I didn't understand that they came pre-made. I just bought some chain. It was a non-functioning wallet chain.
Just a chain on your
Homemade,
pants.
actually, it's pretty badass. It's actually a homemade wallet chain.
What a bad,
Pretty badass.
what a bad boy. So
I also had whatever significant other that album Nookie was on.
Oh.
I had that CD.
Yeah.
Yeah, so apologies.
Well then, in the year 2001, out of New York came 5 friends with cool haircuts, vintage suits, and an amazing first album. That band is called The Strokes, and this episode is not about them. Because at the same time, The Strokes were making kids all over the world lie and say they were always into bands like Television and Velvet Underground. Yeah, I've always loved them. I've always loved them. A bunch of friends on the other side of the country of America was also paying homage to bands of the past. Because in Portland, Oregon, 4 guys by the names of Adam Cox, Matt Fitzgerald, Terry Six, and Jeremy Gage formed a band called The Exploding Hearts. And this is the story of the band that could have been.
Oh.
Anyone heard of The Exploding Hearts?
No.
I don't think so.
no.
Okay. Now, Portland has a pretty good history when it comes to indie rock music. Do you know any bands that came from Portland? If I say these bands, tell me if you know them. Like Slater-Kinney?
Yes.
Just got a new album out, right?
Yes, they do, yes. Elliott Smith?
Yes.
The Decemberists?
Mm-hmm.
The Danny Warhols?
Yes.
Modest Mouse?
Bloody
Oh,
hell.
shit.
The Shins?
Oh, okay.
Originally from Albuquerque, but moved to Portland when they formed the band. So they're kind of a Portland band. Anyway, I could go on and on and on.
Yeah, wow.
So
Now-
good hit rate. Good
Yeah.
hit rate.
Yeah.
I was going to say I didn't know any, but yeah, that's heaps. It
That's a
feels
lot.
like, yeah, it's interesting that, or is that, it's well known for that. It is a hipstery kind of
It
place.
is a hipstery place, but at the turn of the millennium, not so much. And I'm not sure what it is about places that have a higher proportion of rain to other places, but they just make good bands.
Right.
So Melbourne, better bands than Sydney.
You got to stay inside. You're in the garage more often.
Yeah, I think so. So London, better bands than Ibiza.
Mm-hmm.
There are not too many Ibiza bands that I know of. Portland, Seattle, New York outshine Hawaii when it comes to music.
Yeah. Jack Johnson.
And the other guy who plays the ukulele, the big guy.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
ooh, that's the only
Those
Hawaii.
two.
Yeah.
The big two.
They're doing a lot of the heavy lifting.
Now, just like the Strokes, who met at a Swiss boarding school while they were attending boarding school there, the Exploding Hearts also met at high school, but they didn't come from such opulence as the Strokes did. In an interview the band did with punk magazine called Maximum Rock and Roll, which I'll talk about a lot because they're one of the few people that interviewed them, they described the school that they went to as being for rejects and pregnant girls, which I think is them putting a bit of gravy on it because I looked it up. It's called C.E. Mason High. It's in Beaverton in Oregon, and it's an arts academy as well.
Oh,
So
okay.
you've got the high school, but then you've also got people going there because they're good at the arts. Now, as these guys described it, they did everything together in high school. They said it was like they shared one brain. And besides loving music, they also loved skateboarding, smoking pot, and vandalising their small town of Beaverton.
Watch out, Beaverton.
Yeah.
It's a great town name.
It is good.
I know. What could you... vandalise the sign? It's already got beaver in the sign. Like, what are you going to vandalise
What
it
can you
to?
do?
Yeah, just rub out the ton.
Beaverton, Beaverpoon. What about that?
Get rhyme zone on.
Jeez, I was close, wasn't I? Platypus Poon.
Yeah.
I think of the platypus as Australia's beaver.
He's always said that.
Yeah.
I can back him up on that. He's always said that.
So while in high school, Adam Cox, the lead singer, who's older than the other members by 2 years, was already fronting a local band called the Iguanas, which just happened to be the same name as one of Iggy Pop's first bands, which is where Iggy comes from. So his real name's not Iggy. His real name is James Osterberg, but he took the moniker Iggy from fronting the Iguanas. So it was Iggy and the Iguanas.
I didn't know that. That's a great fact.
Yeah. Do you know
You
why?
know that, Dave? You're a big fact man.
No, I didn't know. Didn't know
And
that.
do you know why he chose pop?
Why?
No.
Favourite drink?
No, because Iggy Snap and Iggy Crackle didn't sound as good. That's a joke.
I don't know. I disagree with him, though. Iggy Snapple.
Snapple. Snap and Crackle.
Oh, my God.
Not Snapple.
Too fruity.
Okay, so the Iguanas were a popular school band, and people would make their own Iguanas t-shirts and wear them around the school, and the school still has the 7-inch of the Iguanas that they made on the wall as a bit of a hall of fame. These are past students who were did great things. The
How
Iguanas
cool.
7-inch up
I
there.
cannot believe that Warrandyte High School has not done the same thing for Wheat Hornet.
That's insane.
Where's
That
our
is
EP?
Very disappointing.
It was a high school band?
High school band.
What
yeah.
was the best band in your high school? Was it Weed Hornet?
Yeah, I reckon.
Okay.
Honestly, there weren't that many. Yeah.
I think the band I was in was the only band in my high school. So yeah, best by default.
Yeah,
yes.
honestly, I feel the same way.
I was in a band that we never actually did any gigs or even any practice. We called ourselves Community Scooter.
Ooh.
That's fun.
Yeah, because we stayed at some caravan park, me and some friends, and there was this one scooter that we saw that all the kids would just ride around, and my friend Dion said, that must be the Community Scooter. Oh, that's a good band name. Let's form a band called Community Scooter.
It's always great when you start with the name first.
Yeah.
I've formed a band that never played anything called Kerry O'Brien and the Contentious Issues.
Oh, that's a good one.
But our most famous bands were, I don't think I ever saw them at school, but Jet was just a couple of years above me.
Oh, okay.
And British India was a couple of years below me, I think.
Nice.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I was in a real cultural wasteland in between them.
Well, some of the other bands that the guys in Exploding Hearts were also in were bands called the Silver Kings, FU,
Oh, that's good.
the Spider Babies,
Oh,
the Bedpans, and the last one was called Coco Cobra and the Killers.
Oh, that's my favourite.
Yeah. But the Exploding Hearts, they're different entirely. Where all the other bands they had more of a garage rock kind of feel to it. This new band was all power pop and punk. Heavily influenced by bands like the Buzzcocks, the Undertones, the Only Ones, Nick Lowe, and pretty much anything from the UK Stiff Records label. So we're going back to the punk era from the 70s there. So the first formation of the band was just Terry and Adam, and they called themselves the Teenage Faces. Because they've got the Faces,
yes.
and then they lost a member and they called themselves the Small Faces. And these guys are teenagers, so they call themselves the Teenage Faces.
Okay.
But they quickly disbanded when Adam left Portland after he graduated, and he moved to California. But while he was there, he'd call up Terry Six, and the two of them would work on songs over the phone together. Okay. So with the idea of forming this new band, he moved back to Portland once the others had graduated high school, and they rebranded the Teenage Faces to the Exploding Hearts.
I like Exploding Hearts as a name.
It's a good band name,
It's
isn't
really
it?
good, yeah.
Yeah. They got their instruments by either borrowing it from other guys around town and forgetting to give it back, that is. Or Matt Fitzgerald, the bass player, rumoured he sold pot and exchanged it for cool records. Like, so if you wanted pot, you'd go over with some cool records he might not know, and so he'd give you some. And he exchanged his bass guitar that way. So he
I
got a
mean, cool
bass.
is quite subjective, isn't it? I could go over there with Dolly Parton and be like, this is pretty rad, and he'd be like, get out of here. I was like, well, I actually think that's very cool.
I actually think it's just half a kilo's worth. Thank you very much.
if I can be honest.
Yeah, he's got a ratio on the wall. Look it up.
How cool. He's got a coolometer.
Yeah, cool. Like a first edition. He's like, well, that's worth it.
That's pretty cool.
So Adam and Terry, they lived together in a place they called the Pink Palace, because the building had a pink tyre swing hanging in the front yard, and each room was tagged with names such as Led Zepp, Dead Moon, and Metallica. They were the 3 bedrooms. And this was the result of a spray paint war between Six and Cox. And the kitchen was salmon pink, and on the wall they had spray painted the words "Guitar Romantic." That was on the wall of their kitchen, just
They
above
sound
their
like
fridge.
a landlord's nightmare.
Yeah.
But very cool, but oh god.
Guitar romantic.
Guitar Romantic. Yeah. And style was very important to the band. And it mainly came from the direction of Adam Cox, who designed the Hearts look. So the White Stripes, they had the red and white and sometimes black. The Hives had their white suits. The Exploding Hearts, their signature colours were black, white, pink and neon yellow. And the guys took a do-it-yourself approach to their clothing, and one of Terry Six's favourite outfits was a pair of black leather pants, a ratty tank top, and a leopard print women's jacket he got from the op shop that he dyed pink in the bath. So it was a pink leather, like fur coat kind of
yeah.
thing.
Now he's ruined the bath as well.
Yeah.
Has he ruined it or has he made it way cooler?
And the band, they all cut their own hair. Their style was a bit like what Matt's rocking. It was a bit like a shagged out mullet. That's what they were rocking. And
They sound awesome.
this is 2001, 2002. People weren't having mullets back then.
I was, but I know others weren't. Me and the Exploding Hearts.
As Terry Six says, he goes, "I don't recall any other bands looking like us. We were pretty noticeable. Everything we had was shredded, safety pinned, or bleached the hell out of. We wanted to look really menacing, but also eye-catching. Menacing and eye-catching."
The colours sound like licorice all sorts.
Yes.
Black, white, pink and yellow, right?
That's good. I like a licorice also. I like separating them all. With your teeth. That's how you eat them.
I want to go get some right now. Can we have a quick break?
We'll do it after. And we're back. Okay. And they were eye-catching. The band were very eye-catching. People knew about them in Portland before they'd even played shows. These 4 were a gang. And then they started playing shows. And people in Portland hated them. They were considered a joke, and the detractors thought they were all style over substance. Now, this was 2002. Okay, this was before the Portlandia kind of hipster boom, and everyone was moving there to try and be artistic. This is when it was cool. It wasn't cool to dress up on stage at all. Like, if you actually thought about what you were wearing on stage, that was like you were selling out. No, you just get up there and what you were wearing that day. That's what you do. And this is when, like, pretty much the fashion in Portland at the time was blue jeans and flannel. That's what everyone was wearing. And these guys were all flamboyant and colourful and very in your face. But a few people were intrigued by the band. Even though they didn't quite like the band, they were intrigued by them. And their shows were becoming legendary for the wrong reasons. Quite often the band would just fight each other on stage. They'd get into arguments with the audience, and one time, Adam Cox, the lead singer, had a few too many drinks before and during the show, vomited on stage, and then rubbed the vomit in his hair and continued with the rest of the set.
Oh.
Okay.
Matt, were you doing that as well with your mullet?
No.
Up until rub it in his hair, I was like, this is my dream live show. Just get wasted and throw up.
Did you ever see the band Matt the Fuck Fucks?
Fucks. Yeah, what I saw him at a festival somewhere.
Yeah. I saw when I was a little, probably 18, come over from Tasmania to see the big day out, and they were on one of the smaller stages. And my friend went, "Oh, we'll just go and see what's on here." And the lead singer, Fred Negro, who's also a cartoonist, he's the singer. He was wearing a little negligee that only went to his hips, and then he was banging his penis on the tambourine. That was too much for my little 18-year-old mind to comprehend.
I can't handle this.
Sure, he was getting a great rhythm out of it too.
When you said it only went to his hips, I didn't know if you meant up
like just
to his hips or down to his
Yeah.
hips. Well, I was hoping for up to his hips.
Hips down. Okay, but the industry people were beginning to notice the band too. And they picked up a manager at the time called Rachel Ramos. And promoters were coming to check them out to see if they would put them on at their places. Label people and even the drummer from Slater-Kinney, Janet Weiss, would come and check out the early shows. It was a bit of a like, let's go sticky beak at what these young guys are doing.
There's a bit of intrigue.
Yeah, but one guy who was super intrigued was a guy called King Louie Bankston.
Bankston.
Yeah.
That's fun.
What about King?
Yeah, King Louie.
More interested in the bang.
Now, King Louie was something of a Portland legend, having moved there from Louisiana. Now, he is a musician, and he has made over 53 albums.
Whoa.
And in Portland, the Exploding Hearts boys knew him as the guy who worked at the Ferris wheel and once left Terry Six hanging off the top of it for 45 minutes and before he let him down.
That's who they know
wild.
as. Oh, you're the guy that fucked me up on the Ferris wheel.
Yeah.
They probably would have loved it
Yeah.
by the sound of these guys.
Yeah, well, they used to go there and drink and then ride all the rides. And then there was only one time they said they wouldn't let them on because they were too drunk.
So what time? This is early 2000s now.
Yeah.
So a lot of those bands you mentioned before had already started or were about to.
Slater Kinney were kind of, I think, 93, 94. I think they were first doing stuff. So they were already starting. So Elliott Smith had already been like around. He was still living at this time, this stage.
Right. When did he die?
2004, I think.
Right.
And the Decemberists were kind of starting up. Yeah, but they were all would have been around
Yeah.
playing in bands. Yeah.
And you're watching the fucks.
And I'm watching the
About
fuck
this
fucks. Yeah, yeah. So one day, Adam is at the skate park, and Louie, who they know, because Louie was also busking around town as a one-man band. He would be the one-man band, so the drum on the back, cymbals between his knees, guitar, harmonica, all that kind of stuff. Louie was driving, saw Adam at the skate park, wound his window down and said to Adam, who he recognised from playing in the Spider Babies, to get in the car. So Adam did.
Okay.
Yep.
Don't get in the
You
car.
wouldn't get in the car with a one-man band?
Is he still wearing the
He's
gear?
dropping the car, flashing away.
He's playing the tambourine with his penis.
Yeah. And King Louie drove him around and asked Adam if he could join his new band as the keyboard player, and he had a song he had written for them. Adam asked if he could hear it, thinking he may have a demo in the car, but instead of putting a tape on, King Louie just took his hands off the steering wheel, started drumming on the steering wheel, and did the guitar line with his mouth. And he stopped the guitar to start singing. So it was like, dun, do 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 dun, 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 do 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 do. I'm a pretender at the game of love. Need somebody help me shatter my heart. And amazingly, Adam loved it and invited the guy to join the band as their keyboard player.
Whoa.
Now, King Louie is one of life's true eccentrics, and you could fill a whole episode just with King Louie stories, but I'll just tell you one more. Okay, so King Louie, he left the band after a year. He was only in the band for a year. Moved to New Orleans, where he'd been living on and off for years. He was also living there in 2005 when Hurricane Katrina happened. And this is the story of how he survived Hurricane Katrina. So he was living with his girlfriend at the time. And when the hurricane hit, they were inside and the floodwaters were rapidly rising. So they thought they were safe inside until they realised the water was now quite high and they needed to reach higher ground. So armed with a chainsaw, Louie cut a hole in his ceiling, and that was the only way they escaped onto the roof. Because he cut a chainsaw. So
Oh my God.
he took his dog and his girlfriend and they got whatever they could up on the roof. The water was still rising, so they had to get even higher. And so they climbed over to the neighbour's roof, which was higher, and the water was still rising. And they thought that we're in trouble here. And then out on the distance, they saw her brother come in a kayak.
What?
He had a canoe. So he was canoeing, but the canoe could only take one person. So King Louie, being quite chivalrous, he said, all right, women and children first. So his girlfriend went with her brother. They floated down, and then he was waiting there for the brother to come back. While he was waiting there, because all the rivers were flooding, and in New Orleans, snakes live in the rivers, and there's this type of snake called the moccasin. And so the moccasins were all coming, and they were kind of just swimming through the roofs, and he was getting bitten by moccasins, like snakes, because they were trying to bite his dog. So he had to, like King Louie had his dog under one arm, he had an oar in the other hand, and he was bashing off snakes until the brother finally came,
Oh
and then
my
he got rescued.
God.
And he's still alive. Like, he survived Hurricane Katrina.
And the dog?
I don't know if the dog's still alive. It was 2005.
I'm going to say yes.
Survived the night.
It survived the night, yes.
And that dog is now the world's oldest.
Whoa.
That's an amazing story.
Yeah.
Wow.
King Louie Bankston.
Chainsawing through your own roof.
I know.
Yeah.
That's-
I had a moment there where I was like, if I'm stuck in floodwaters, it wouldn't be a shock to me for my brother to arrive on a kayak, to be honest. He's just got that kind of energy, and he'd just be so casual about it. He'd be like, get in.
Yeah.
All right, shut up. Don't tell mum.
Get in together.
Yeah, it has that kind of vibe while he's doing something very heroic.
So, now, just like the Strokes, they have their older, more experienced producer, Gordon Raphael, who recorded their first two albums and helped them find their sound. Do you know why they stopped using him, by the way? I'm a big Strokes fan, but apparently they were on the Spider-Man soundtrack, and their song was just before the Hive song, Hate to Say I Told You So. And when they heard their song and then heard the Hive song, they were like, oh, our song sounds like really tinny and weak compared to the Hive, so we need to up our production values. And they've never had an album as good as the first
Right,
two.
'cause
since.
isn't that the whole point? Didn't they like run vocals through a guitar amp and then record all that sort of stuff to try and sound
Yeah.
like tinny and shit?
I
Like
don't
the
know.
drums are like recorded by like a microphone like 7 meters away and stuff like that. And then they hear a properly produced record. We
Yeah.
should sound like that. That's the opposite sound.
Mate, did you mean that they had no idea why they were successful?
No, I think they just would like, if we're going to be on other like compilation albums, our songs aren't going to sound as big as the other bands.
Right.
I don't know.
Huh.
I guess it's always that thing when you start playing bigger venues. Like Kings of Leon are a good one for this. After like 3 albums, I went, we need to sound like U2 now instead of a garage band. Anyway. The Strokes had Gordon Raphael. The Exploding Hearts have part-time Ferris wheel operator King Louie to help them find their sound. But not all the band were on board straight away. I mean, the band were doing fine without King Louie. It'd be like if, Dave, you come to Do Go On and you're like, hey, I've got a new member of the band. He's a Ferris wheel operator. He's gonna. I met him in the car. He did a podcast at me.
He's going to change our sound.
In a big way.
He's huge.
So the first full band practice with Louie, who walked in eating a Dagwood dog and had because he'd just finished work.
Straight from the show.
Yeah.
Incredible.
And he had 3 beers under his arm. The other member was like, okay, I've heard you got a song for us. And this time, with an actual instrument, he played the song I'm a Pretender. And the band were like, yep, you're in.
Wow.
Yep. So this was a song Louie had for a while. And he actually tried to sell it to another band who said, nah, we're more into the more garage rock kind of sound. But he'd been recording it now. I don't know if you know the band Big Star.
No.
Their lead singer of Big Star, Alex Chilton, recorded some of King Louie's previous work, and he played him this song, and Alex Chilton said that's a hit. You've written a hit record there, King Louie, but he didn't want to record it himself.
Wow.
Okay, but one of the things that Louie brought to the band was he was adamant that the band's lyrics had to be honest and heartfelt, which juxtaposed the spikiness of the music. And once they figured out this, they bunkered down the right songs for the first album, which they called Guitar Romantic.
Callback to the kitchen, Dave.
The kitchen.
Yes,
Thing you
of
thought was cool
course.
in the kitchen.
Yeah, sorry. I was thinking they're going to call it Pink Palace for sure.
Pink Palace.
Guitar Romantic. Okay.
Yeah,
I was thinking they'd go greatest hits.
Oh, that's good.
always bold for the first album, isn't it?
Greatest Hits Volume 1.
I like when a band is like 4 albums in and then they just have a self-titled album. And you're like, nice.
Yep.
So Metallica did
I think Ballpark?
5
Am I
albums
right
in.
with that? Yeah.
You or I did like 6 albums in.
Yeah.
Did they?
Yeah.
Love that.
Blink-182.
Yeah, it's like a reset, or we can't think of an album title.
Yeah.
The Beatles did it a fair way in.
The band Wings could have been.
That's so funny. The band the Beatles could have been.
So in 2002, the Hearts went into the studio to record their first full-length album. The group recorded all the tracks within a 2-week period with local producer Pat Kearns in a small setup known as Studio 13. And the band said, we didn't spend too much time on it. That's what we liked about it. We didn't have to try. We already had the songs. Just go in there, record them, get out. So discussing all their influences before recording, they include the obvious ones that I've already mentioned, like Buzzcocks, Undertones, all that kind of stuff. But they also mentioned, which Pat Kearns found intriguing, the Supremes.
Oh.
Yeah. So Pat and the band made a conscious effort to balance the buzzsaw grit of early punk music with Phil Spector's wall of sound production to give it a more polished sound. So Phil Kearns says punk music was just so hard on its edges and didn't have the tenderness. And he'd often encourage Cox to sing like Diana Ross. And as he was singing, he'd yell out from the control room, less punk, more Diana.
Can you hear that in the background of the recording?
Yeah, no. Now, after finishing the recording and having written 7 of the songs and helping them find their sound, King Louie leaves the band and moves back down to New Orleans, although the door is still open. Or you can come and join the band whenever you want, play keyboards, whatever you want to do. And they even joke, we don't have to turn the keyboards on. You can just come and play. Yeah.
Wow, they like him.
Yeah, they love him. So released on April Fool's Day, 2003, on Screaming Apple Records. Punk fans around the country immediately took notice. 10 songs only. It's finished in 28 and a half minutes. And the opening track, Modern Kicks, is a classic. And King Louie penned I'm a Pretender comes straight after that.
Wow.
And it sounds so much better than it did in the car. And this is a side note. So in April in 2003, these are some of the other bands that released albums in that time. So it's just. So the White Stripes released Elephant. Yeah Yeahs released Fever to Tell. The Black Keys released Thick Freakness. and the Kills released Keep on Your Mean Side.
Wow.
So it's huge. Like all those bands are still doing stuff today. So it's like huge. Okay. So the entire 1,000 copies of Guitar Romantic sell out in 2 days. They get rid of all. But in Portland, not as popular. At the album release show, the band didn't sell a single record. And as the band said, Portland didn't give a shit. Nobody respected us or cared about us. And in an interview in 2013, Terry Six said, for every diehard, there were like 10 people who fucking hated us. Okay,
It's
so
not quite the right ratio, is it?
no, you don't want 1
yeah,
in
you
10.
want the other way around.
Yeah.
I think it's something about the people in the town knowing them.
Yeah, it's just going.
The rest of the country's like, we like the music and we don't know they're fuckheads.
But the group's national buzz is reaching a high point when Pitchfork, the online music site, praised Guitar Romantic, and critic Matt LeMay gave it 8.8 out of 10 and added it to the site's best new music page, and calling it simply a fucking awesome power pop record, and remarking that the Exploding Hearts are the best punk band to come along in a long time, maybe since the original wave.
Whoa.
And he ends the review by saying the Exploding Hearts have released an album that is, at its core, ageless.
Wow.
Yeah, it's big. Now, I don't know if you read Pitchfork. I have a weird love-hate affair. I like Pitchfork because they've introduced me to a lot of bands. I don't like Pitchfork because I feel they have one of the best reviews ever, and I know these are your old school buddies, but Jet's second album, do you know what they did for how they reviewed it?
Wow.
I should say I never met him. Don't know him.
You're good pals.
They reviewed Jet's second album by just putting a video of a monkey pissing in its own mouth. That was the whole
That's
review.
incredible.
Yeah.
It was a dog shit album.
Was it really?
That's
one
probably
was
the
that? I
second
don't know.
best. The best review I ever read was in NME when they reviewed George Michael's Listen Without Prejudice, and they just reviewed it Listen Without Speakers. That's a very good review.
Dave's a big George
I
fan.
do like George Michael.
Well, they are too as now. They've come out and said it's a great album.
Well,
so.
there you go. I also was going to say Pitchfork are often, they're quite revisionist too, aren't they?
Yes.
They bag the shit out of something, then 20 years later be like, one of the best 50 albums of all time.
Yeah,
It's funny. That's music criticism, like down to a T. They do it all the time. They don't get because I think they're often the critics are a generation out. So then the people who come up with the music, they ended up reviewing it and they revise it. Like, no, that was sick.
Yeah, well, that was
They
the
did,
best.
it wasn't for those old
This
reviewers.
changed my life.
Yeah, exactly.
When I was 15.
Yeah.
What I don't like about those sites like NME, Pitchfork, and all that, where they build the band up and then they're like, now we're going to cut them down, and it's that thing of like, hang on, you guys were the ones that said that this sounds great, and then they recorded it, and you're like, no, we're over.
Yeah,
this now.
they've done something similar.
Yeah.
And I'm not a fan of that sort of stuff, but I also do. It is a way to find music for sure.
Yeah.
I'm also very interested in 8.8 out of 10.
I know.
I'd love to know his scoring system. 8.8.
I find all the numbered scoring, star rating is so weird. It's
Really
like,
hard.
This is good or this is not good. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
If you like this, you'll like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, according to me,
Yeah.
this is what other things I like.
Yeah.
If you like these things,
Yeah,
you might
you
also
like
like
it
this. It doesn't make any sense, any of that stuff.
Okay, so now with the good
Unless
press.
I get a high score.
Yeah.
In which case they
Then-
are a very good
then-
reviewer.
Yeah.
They get
A lot
it.
of respect.
I haven't had to worry about that so far, but
Now, the good press, the band are headed on an American summer, head out on the road. And in 2003, they have some very cool opportunities. So they're asked to support UK punk legends, the Buzzcocks, when they come to Portland. Plus, they're asked to perform at the Harvard Lampoon at their graduation party, which sounds like a weird gig, but it is quite a prestigious gig. In 2002, the act who plays the Harvard Lampoon graduation was Conan O'Brien.
Oh, shit.
And the year before that, the Strokes.
Wow.
So it was at this gig that their manager, Rachel Ramos, talks about how she knew that she had a band that was pretty special. The entire crowd at the Harvard Lampoon on the other side of the country knew every word to every single song, and these weren't punks. These were college kids, and they were Harvard college kids at that. And the band knew they were onto something, and they had mass crossover appeal that would be timeless. As they looked around the walls of the Lampoon, they had portraits of all the past performers there. So they had Bill Murray, John Belushi, Conan, The Strokes, and then they had a portrait of their album, Guitar Romantic, on the wall as well.
And they thought, that's it. We're going to audition for Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
We're going to make it.
I'm going to be a comic genius.
They'll probably do Weekend Update, I think. Yeah. So at the tail end of this trip to Boston, the band had some shows booked in San Francisco and the other side of the country at a venue called the Bottom of the Hill, which they had tried to play before the album came out, and they booked them and then had to cancel them because no one had bought tickets. This time they'd put 2 shows on and they'd sold out instantly.
Whoa.
Okay. So the band was now hyped. And with these 2 legendary shows at the bottom of the hill, they were riding high. And after playing the second show, they did an impromptu show at another bar called The Parkside. And during this show, the band went past the bar's curfew, and so they pulled the PA, and the band were undeterred and just kept on playing their instruments. So all you could hear was the drums really, because they can't turn the drums off. And the crowd sang along with every word.
Wow.
They were like, we know. And so to get them, like, it was kind of back in the days when King Louie was doing a cappella at them. But to get them out of the venue, the bar manager gave them all their money, said, here's your cash and a couple of bottles of booze. And the band went, all right, we're off. Okay.
It's starting to sound like this band was. You said
Yeah.
they never was.
Well, wait for it. There's a twist. Okay, the next day...
It was
all
a
a
dream.
dream.
And then they woke up.
The next day,
Brutal.
before they left, they have a meeting with a label called Lookout Records. Now, they'd been to the Bottom of the Hill shows, and they were very impressed with what they had seen. Now, this was the label most famous for releasing the first albums from the bands Green Day and Rancid. And Lookout seemed very interested, and they were the band's dream label. That's what they wanted to be on. Like they were on the Screaming Apple. They were with Dirt Nap Records for a bit. They wanted to be on Lookout Records, and because the other dream was they wanted to play with the Donners. They were a big fan of the band the Donners.
Arnie Donna.
Arnie
Oh,
Donna,
yeah, sorry.
yeah. And,
Skin tight, baby, all right.
yeah, and so Lookout had Arnie Donna, not Arnie Donna. Lookout had the Donners.
Look, I wish they had Arnie Donna.
The Donners had just left for a big label, I think it was Interscope, but they were still on good terms with Lookout, and so Lookout was saying they're about to go on national tour, Exploding Hearts, you can be the support. So they were super, super excited.
Awesome.
Other bands on the label at the time were Ted Leo and the Pharmacists. Do you know Ted Leo and the Pharmacists? Pretty Girls Make Graves. Do you know Pretty Girls Make
Yeah.
Graves? And The Pattern. These are
I
three
don't
very
know
good
the middle
bands.
one.
You should look them up. They're very
Named
good bands.
after the Smiths lyric.
Pretty Girls Make Graves, yes. Yes, they were. Yeah. So on the evening of July 19, the band headed back home to Portland. A 10-hour trip, 960 kilometres, winding through mountains. And after driving hours and hours, they reached the outskirts of Oregon, where they stopped in a bar that was frequented by country people and bikers who did not appreciate the look of the boys in their pink and yellow and fur coats. Now, I'm not sure what happened in the bar, but the band got kicked out and decided to trash the front fence of the bar as they left to try and find somewhere to park the van and sleep. So after a couple of hours sleeping, Matt Fitzgerald decides it's time to keep moving, starts the car up and starts driving home.
Oh, no.
Now, just north of Eugene, about 100 minutes away from Portland, Fitzgerald veered onto the gravel on the left side of the road and lost control of the van. Authorities reported that Fitzgerald most likely overcorrected when he attempted to steer the van back toward the highway, causing it to roll multiple times.
Oh, gosh.
Terry Six says of the accident, it felt like it was a joke. And his first thoughts as they were rolling was, God damn it, now I have to walk all the way home.
Oh, my God.
When it came to a stop, though, the damage was a lot more significant. Along with all the instruments and the equipment, Adam Cox, Jeremy Gage and Matt Fitzgerald had all been thrown from the car. And Terry says, I saw our life and our friends and just everything destroyed on the side of the road. So Adam Cox, 23, and Jeremy Gage, 21, died at the scene.
Fuck.
Matt Fitzgerald, who was only 20, he died in hospital shortly after.
Oh, my God.
So Terry Six and Rachel Ramos, the manager, were the only two wearing seatbelts. They were treated for minor injuries and released from hospital that day.
It rolled multiple times. And they
times.
were treated for minor injuries.
Minor
Jeez, that's a
injuries.
good ad for seatbelts.
Totally. How
Yeah.
lucky were they?
Wow.
You know, like, you can draw a line in being punk and being too punk. Like, seatbelt is okay,
Yeah.
guys. We're not judging you.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
all right.
I mean, I think may have been, I know Matt was driving, but the others were sleeping, I think.
Yeah.
Right,
So
around the
I'm
back.
I'm not
maybe.
sure, yep.
Oh, no.
So July 20 was when families and close friends were alerted about what had happened. So that year, Pitchfork names Guitar Romantic the 14th best album of the year, which if you look at the albums in 2003 is very impressive. So a lot like Outkast, Beyonce, Justin Timberlake, The Strokes, all those
Holy
bands,
shit,
all
yeah,
released
huge,
bands.
big
Okay.
names.
In September 2009, Pitchfork ranked the album number 60 on the list of top 200 albums of the 2000s. And around the same time, Bobby Martinez, who interviewed the Hearts for the zine Maximum Rock and Roll, he was working at a record shop called 1234 Go Records in Oakland when Green Day's Billie Joe Armstrong came in and asked if they had Guitar Romantic. And a few months later, at a concert, Green Day played a cover of the song Modern Kicks at a secret club show. Also, that song has been voted ranked 290 on Pitchfork's top 500 tracks of the 2000s.
I know Modern Kicks. Do I know it because of you? Why do I
Maybe, yeah. I like it.
You used to make me mixtapes when you were courting me.
Yes. I was trying to smooch.
Oh, to be so lucky.
So Terry Six, the only surviving member, is quite understandably traumatised from the experience, and very rarely does interviews. Like he's done like 3 or 4 in the past, and that's about it. Where he talks about the band. Yep.
Just everything, not just your friends have died, but his whole life.
Yeah.
Like it sounds like they were just on a trajectory going skywards.
Yeah, felt unstoppable probably.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously your friends dying is the worst part, but your whole life's gone.
Yeah.
Oh man, that would be tough to recover from.
So he's been in a few bands. So he was in a band called the Nice Boys, and then in 2018 he teamed up with his old Ferris wheel operator friend himself, King Louie, and they released an album called Terry and Louie. And when they play live, they actually play Exploding Heart songs.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, there is a documentary in the works. It was supposed to be finished in 2019, but as of yet, no release date's been confirmed. But the trailer for it is up on YouTube if you want to go and look at the trailer. Also in 2006, a compilation album of early demos, because they only released the one album, but they were working on the second album. And so there's a couple of finished songs and a couple of early demos from the first album. And the new songs are brilliant. Like they clearly are going to go, yeah, this is not just a one-hit wonder. These guys know how to write a song.
Wow.
An album's called Shattered. It's not on Spotify, but it is on YouTube. If you want to listen to that. Guitar Romantic is on Spotify. I'd listen to that one first.
Yeah, for sure. I'm keen to check it out now.
Yeah. So I was alerted to this band by my friend Brendan Maloney, who people in Melbourne might know. He used to run Crab Lab. And he said, listen to the album, but don't Google them. Whatever you do not Google this band before you've listened to the music. And I thought, oh, they're horrible. Like they've murdered people or something like that. Yeah, like it's like Charles Manson kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, now I'm just sad.
So, but did you follow his advice and listen to the music first?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Because I'd hear that and be like, I've got to Google this guy.
I probably would too, yeah.
Oh, and then so you listened, you loved it.
I loved it. And then I was sad.
Oh.
So that is the tale of the Exploding Hearts. 4 friends who found each other when everyone else thought they were weird, who made songs that their peers didn't get, and who, through tragedy, didn't get to see the rest of the world catch up. The band that could have been, and the young men that never got a chance to.
Oh,
wow.
Great story,
The
but
end.
Jeez, that is a sad story.
Yeah. And it's I don't know if it's better or worse to hear that the music they were working on for a second album was great.
Yeah.
I think it's worse.
Yeah.
Is it worse because they were great rather than
The
a
world
one-hit
missed out.
wonder? Yeah. They could have been. They could still be going, and still be a really big band now.
Yeah, it sounds like they probably would have been,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
I think so. Like that first album, it's one of those things though. When you a band like that, you go, "Oh, is the story what makes people love the album more now, or is it the music?" But
Yeah.
I listened to the music first. And I was like, "No, this is really, really good."
That's a good, good sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I hope they would be. But it's that thing like how many albums does a band like that have in it?
Yeah.
It's like 3, 4, and then you start going, okay, now you got to do something new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair
Yeah.
too. Yeah. Wow, what a story.
What do you think Portland now claim them as? Yeah,
No, they
they're
do.
out.
So they there was a local radio station who would play them and have them do live to airs, but not everyone was fans. But then this is on YouTube as well. They do a memorial show the Friday after they died, and people are calling in with their memories, and it goes for an hour, and they play like some early demos, and they have people. Rachel, the manager, rings in. That's where I got a lot of the information from her side of the story in there, and but there's very little on online. I was reading like people who went to their high school's blogs about it. And, it was So
it's interesting. Well, maybe the new doco will change all that.
hopefully, yeah.
Why did the town dislike them so much? It was just they didn't get it.
I think, it was at that time, it's like, I guess if you kind of wear kind of garage rock, and these guys are all about power pop, kind of like, no, we like poppy stuff when we're singing about girls and heartbreak and stuff like that. They're like, oh, what is this a joke band? And then also dressing like they're out of like a casting agent's What an Idea of Punk is, in Stranger Things season 2, and it's like, oh, the punks. It's like that's what they were kind of dressed like, but with pink and neon yellow.
That is funny. It's funny when like a music. You think of music as being a place for rebelliousness, but it really isn't so often.
Yeah, but I also think it must be tedious. Like when those punks are like, yeah, because you look at all the punks now from the 70s. So John Lydon, who's like now just a conservative idiot. Like these guys who are like, I just like to be contrary. So in the 70s, being contrary was like kicking against authority.
Yeah.
And now when they're rich, they're contrary and they're like, no, the youth are hopeless. They're dumb. It's like, shut up, you old idiot. Just like the youth kind of like do what they want to do, like in terms of like do exactly what you did. Like, yeah.
Such a G-rated way to tell someone off, but it hits so hard, you know? Shut up, you old idiot.
You can use that on Matt.
Thank you.
I did find that, I find nostalgia so funny like that when people don't realise that they're doing the exact thing they hated as kids.
Yeah.
It's just every generation does it. So silly.
Yeah.
You old idiots.
Shut up, you old idiots. Wow, what a story.
Josh, thank you so much. That was a great report. Honestly, I've got to say, I said it would be great. And it was.
Yay.
Honestly, that was a really good story. Obviously, tragic at the end.
Yes.
I know.
But I didn't know any of that.
No.
And I didn't know anything about the Malice in the Palace last time.
There you go.
And I've thought about it a lot since.
So all I want is listeners to go and listen to the band. Listen to that album.
Yeah.
Go to Spotify, listen to
But
it.
don't Google them.
Yeah.
Don't look it up. Don't
we should
look
put
it
a note
up.
at the start saying, hey, let's just type in the name of this report into Spotify first.
And let us know what you think.
Yeah.
Tag Josh in on Twitter.
Yeah, just the good ones.
Yeah.
Just tag me in the good ones.
If you've got some fucked opinions, maybe leave Josh out of it.
And if you are aware of this band, there's stuff I got wrong. I tried very hard, but there's very few, very little information.
Alice is pretty good with not actuallying us.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I think you're safe.
So again, we can see your live stand-up show Talks.
Yes, August 4, and then it's going to be filmed. And then if you're in other parts of the world, you can see it somewhere else. I don't know when though. And also my podcast, Don't You Know Who I Am? It's out every single Thursday. You three have all been on it.
Yes, it's one of the greats. We love it. We all love being on it. We all love listening to it. So
I have to make little notes in my phone quite frequently, like when I think of stories, because I know whenever I get that message from Josh, I'm delighted, and then I'm like, fuck, now I've got to think of stories for myself.
Haven't
and
talked
I'm a
about
boring
before.
person.
So basically, you get 4 funny people from all walks of life. Mostly comedians, but you've also had a music episode as well, which was
I've had a couple
one.
of musicians like Tim Rogers from UMI, Andy Falkus from McCluskey, Bob Evans from Jebediah. Lots of people.
Yeah.
And then you quiz them about their own lives, and it's basically, I've heard you describe it before, as an excuse for people to tell their best stories.
That's it. Yeah.
And Damien Cowell from Tism.
I did. Yep. He was on with Hannah Gadsby, Sean McAuliffe, and David Quirk.
Wild
lineup. What an absolute
so
dream
good.
team.
Yeah, you've had so many cracking episodes.
And then you had us 3 on one time, so that's pretty good too, isn't it?
That's right.
The highs and lows of podcasting.
So check out Don't You Know Who I Am. Josh Earl, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey team, just Dave here letting you know that this week's episode is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Now, I use ExpressVPN on all my devices, and it's great because it protects my privacy. But an absolutely sweet bonus of ExpressVPN is that you can use it to unlock movies and TV shows that are only available in other countries. I mean, sure, I'm an Australian using Australian Netflix, but if I fire up ExpressVPN, I can watch UK Netflix, and I've been watching comedy classic Blackadder this month. So good. Can never quite work out if season 2 or 3 is my favourite, but I absolutely love that show, and I've been watching it on the UK Netflix. And the way it works is ExpressVPN lets you change your online location so you can control where you want sites or apps to think you are located. Super easy, even if, like me, you're not an absolute tech wizard. All you do is open up the ExpressVPN app, select a location, you tap one button to connect, and refresh the page to access thousands of new TV shows and movies. I pull it up and I go, I don't want to be in Australia anymore, I want to pretend I'm in London. Bang. And it's not just the UK, you can choose from almost 100 different countries. You can watch anime stuff, the Studio Ghibli films are on UK Netflix. You can watch Doctor Who on UK Netflix. You can watch Rick and Morty on the French Netflix. If you're like, mate, but I am in the UK, I already got this stuff. Well, let's swap places. You can pretend to be in Australia and watch The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air on the Australian Netflix. You scratch my back with Blackadder, I'll scratch your back with a bit of Fresh Prince. Super easy to use, no buffering or lag. You chuck it on your phone, your laptop, smart TVs, you name it. And right now, if you go to expressvpn.com/dogoon, you can get an extra 3 months of ExpressVPN for free. That's expressvpn.com/dogoon. expressvpn.com/do-go-on. Get 3 months extra for free. Nah, you're right. I think it's Blackadder 2. That's my one. Blackadder the second.
Now that Josh is gone, Dave, he just won't do Patreon reads with him in the room. I don't know what it is.
Dave's shy.
He's
He's
shy.
and that's okay.
Yeah, I don't like reading out names with people looking at me. I make even you guys look away.
Yes.
It's true. But we really appreciate Josh coming in. Now that he's gone, let me tell you, never really liked Limp Bizkit anyway. And I really did. And all those bands you mentioned, I knew them all.
Yes.
I just pretended some of them I didn't.
I didn't want to seem like a nerd.
No.
Yeah, big fan of the Iguanas.
Yeah,
I've
I knew
got a
Iggy Pop. I
t-shirt.
knew that. I knew that.
Yeah,
about
I knew
him.
that.
Yeah, Snap Crackle Pop. We know all you need about fact.
But we're now up to everyone's favourite section of the show, where we thank a bunch of our Patreons. It starts with a little part called Fact Quote or Question. It has a little jingle goes like this.
Fact, quote, or question.
He always remembers the ding. And in this section, we thank...
Section.
Section.
It's a segment and a section.
Yeah,
please. It's our section.
Sometimes I don't know which way I'm going to go on a word. And then halfway through, I zig when you think I'm going to zag.
Yeah, but it covers both bases here.
It's beautiful.
And yeah, you can get involved at patreon.com/dogoonpod or dogoonpod.com. And you can join up on all sorts of different levels. It explains it all there. Depending on the level, you get different kind of rewards. The higher up you go, the more rewards you get. It's a classic pyramid scheme. Am I saying that right?
That's right. The top reward is our kidneys.
Yeah. But Dave, tell us about some of the rewards you can get.
Well, 3 bonus episodes per month. Nearly every week you're getting an extra episode of us in your ears, including bonus reports on often requested topics. We've done the Stanford Prison Experiment, Stockholm Syndrome, the Fantastic Olympic Marathon episode.
MK Ultra.
Yeah, lots of stuff that people are often requesting that we thought, you know what, let's make this a sweet little bonus. And also an episode of our Brendan Fraser themed podcast, Phrasing the Bar, and something else a month, a little quiz, or perhaps a book from my childhood that I wrote.
One that'll have just come out will be a little show that I'm piloting on the Patreon for the Patreon listeners. Who Knew It with Matt Stewart, a quiz show with Dave and Jess, where the contestants write the answers. We haven't figured out the...
Still in the pilot stage.
Actually, a listener suggested, I say, where the contestants write the wrongs or something. Right, he wrote it better. All right.
I think that
Good
probably
sell.
works written down. Right the wrongs.
Yes, exactly.
But you'd have to have some sort of infographic come up during the podcast, which is obviously impossible.
It's for now.
Or you say,
It's impossible for
right
now.
the wrongs. WRITE the wrongs, I mean. That's catchy.
WRITE, the WRONGs.
And this is why it's still at pilot stage, still ironing out some kinks.
There's something in there, though.
Yes,
There's
it's-
something in there.
I mean, you don't maybe have the title down pat, but the way the show runs, very fun.
Oh, it's
Very,
good
I've got to
fun.
say.
Good fun time. So this first one we're going to do today, though, is the Fact Quote or Question section, which you might know from the jingle you heard moments ago. And in this, if you support us on the Sydney Scheinberg Deluxe Memorial Rest in Peace level, you get to give us a fact, a quote, or a question. You also get to give us, or give yourself a title, and we read out 4 of these each week. I'll read them out for the first time on the pod, so bear with me. The first one comes from Daniel Headley, who's given himself the title of Resident Dickhead of the Pod.
Okay.
Someone had to do it.
I've just been bumped out of my posse.
I'm sure we've read that before because we've both made that exact joke before as well. So Daniel Headley has kept his title the same to keep us arguing about it, and I respect that. That
That's
does
right.
make him a dickhead.
It's a real conversation starter.
It's also possible I'm just reading out last week's again. We'll find out in a second, I guess.
No, I'm talking months ago.
Okay, great.
Like, it's happened a couple of times.
All right. Daniel has given us a fact. It's one of the 3 options.
Yes.
Facts, quotes,
I love
or
a
questions.
fact. And we also get to assign whether it's fun,
Yes.
grim, or what am I, dull?
Yeah.
I think I'm dull facts.
Dull
That's my
facts,
thing.
yeah.
Facts.
Great. The 3 top.
What am I, dull?
Yeah.
That's what a dull person would ask.
Yeah. Yes.
Dull
yes, I
people
would.
aren't that aware. So Daniel writes, this is fact. Pad Kid poured curd pulled cod was dubbed the most difficult tough twister by researchers at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology.
I'm guessing that's supposed to be tongue twister, but you also just nailed it.
Say it again.
Said, try saying that quickly 10 times.
All right.
Pad Kid poured curd pulled cod. 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 Nah, that is too hard.
What's a pad kid?
Pad Kid poured curd pulled cod. Pad Kid poured curd. I don't think any. I think the rest of it doesn't make a lot of sense either.
Right.
Pad Kid.
I did enjoy you saying
I guess
that.
it's like a kid made of pillows
Right.
or exercise books. Thank you so much, Daniel Headley.
He really set you up like a dickhead there. Mate, you look like quite the dickhead.
What a dickhead.
Yeah, try to catch me out. A few people do the tongue twisters, and I think I nearly never fuck them up. Even though I would expect to. It's probably because I don't know they're coming.
Yeah.
If it was like, hey, try this tongue twister.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
As you read it.
But if you're just reading the words that are there, you just read the words that are there.
Exactly, yeah.
I can't say segment or section, but I can say unique New York.
This next one comes from Matthew Bohr, who's given himself the title of former director of craft service and current campaign manager to change the Apple podcast blurb to a fact-based comedy podcast where once a week a table may or may not be seduced.
Well, thankfully that's only happened in one episode out of nearly 300.
Yeah, it's much more likely to may not. This is what Matthew writes. It's a quote. Hi, gang. Hey, we're a gang. Figured I would round out my fact, quote, or question triptych with a quote this week.
Great.
Apologies if it doesn't read well over pod, but it is my favourite movie line. Quote.
Sorry I'm late, Mr. President. That's my favourite movie quote. I assume that's everybody's.
What's that from?
Independence Day.
Is that Will Smith? After he's
It's not
punched
Will
an
Smith
alien
saying it. It's Randy
Quaid.
Quaid, and he flies his plane.
He's a crop duster.
He comes and saves the day. Sorry I'm late, Mr. President.
The fact that you remember that makes me think you've seen that more recently than when it was at the cinemas.
Yes. Yeah.
When Jess was, 6 years old?
Great movie for a
Sorry I
6-year-old.
interrupted, but it's a great movie quote that was worth saying loudly.
Love it. All right, what's the favourite quote?
Gelato isn't vegan? Vegan, please. It's milk and eggs, bitch. That's Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Ah, okay, yeah, great.
Gelato isn't vegan? It's milk and eggs, bitch. Is there vegan police in that? I've seen that film. That rings a bell.
It's a good film. Haven't seen it for a long time.
I've never seen it, so
Oh, it's great. You'd like it.
thank you.
Oh,
I
not. I
yeah,
don't
for
know.
some reason I thought gelato was vegan.
Are you thinking of like more of a sorbet?
Maybe I'm thinking of a sorbet.
Yeah.
Which always knew was a different thing to gelato. The next one comes from... Thank you very much, Matthew. The next one comes from Maine Gallagher. And Maine has offered a fact. And this is the fact. Never pet parrots on their head or they'll want to fuck you.
What?
What? That took a...
Say it again.
Parrots? Parrots.
Parrots. Birds can't groom their own heads. They groom each other's heads in mating season as part of the mating ritual. If you pet their head, their hormones will get very confused and often they will be aggressive and or possessive later because they are sexually frustrated. The more you know.
Wow, you only make that mistake once.
When your parrot tries to hump you.
Wow.
That's a
So
fact.
don't
All right.
pat a parrot.
Grim, fun or dull? I feel like it's not dull. But Dave, what do you think?
No, that's not dull.
No.
Well, is there one that's just good advice?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's just good advice.
A useful fact.
Yeah. I think I'll be using that day to day from now on.
I mean, it's only grim if the parrot humps you to death.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. If it makes them so aggressive that it kills you, that's pretty grim.
That's grim.
Or, fucks itself to death.
Yeah.
Fucks
As
the
parrots have
cage
been
or
known to do.
How can we make this fun?
It can't be.
Well, maybe you and the parrot.
Yeah, that's right. What if
fall
you
in
fall in
love.
love? Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's more of a beautiful fact.
That's a beautiful fact.
All right, so which one of us
Heartwarming
is
facts.
doing beautiful facts?
Oh, God. All right, can I do dull and beautiful?
Let's
I feel
get
like-
Josh back in
They're
here.
contradictory. How can you do both of those?
Fine,
How can
I
you be an expert
fine,
in both?
I'll do dull and useful, because useful can also be dull.
It's pretty dull.
Dull? It can be dull and lovely. I've been to a few weddings. It's lovely, but
Dull.
Gosh, this is dull.
Bit
geez,
vanilla.
it's a bit about them.
But I
isn't
love
it?
vanilla, actually.
So it's like, yeah, we get it. You love each other.
Yeah, okay.
I love love. I should say that. I want to make that very clear.
We get it. This day's all about you.
How late will the tab go?
Where is the cake?
And the final one comes from Zach Dobrin, who's... I forgot to say Maine's title. Maine's title is Chief saying, "Aw," at all pet pics officer.
I like that.
You're going to want to head over to my Instagram.
Yeah,
let me tell
that's
you.
right. Instagram.com/chessperk.
And finally, Zach Dobrin's title is Executive Reminder of the Day One quote.
Day
Day one.
Day One.
Still don't understand.
But the thing is, Matt doesn't understand.
What was
That's
he
the best
thinking?
bit.
But there
He's
was
like,
a
I don't
listener
know.
who messaged in who said it totally made sense. They knew what I was talking about.
Wow.
They are-
didn't. Yeah.
They're off the wall.
I don't remember sending that email.
What was that? I can't even remember what that episode was. For new listeners, at one point, I had a brain fade where I said, Day One, with no
Day
context.
one.
And then it wasn't until much later in the episode I came clean that I didn't know what I don't know what I did. I was embarrassed at the time, so I moved on. And then Dave and Jess were like, "Oh, thank God."
Because we had no idea what you meant.
You were like, I just woke up and I was in here. And we thank Zach for reminding us of this story.
Zach asks us a question. The question is, what is a must-have song on your wedding playlist? Speaking of bloody weddings, I'm getting married on June the 12th. Oh, last week. Happy honeymoon.
Yeah, congratulations.
And our must-have is It's Been a Long, Long Time by Harry James. Cheers. I don't know if I know that song.
No, I don't think I do either. My go-to, and this is a song that I'm not getting married, but if I was to ever get married, I would walk down the aisle to Supertramp, Give a Little Bit.
Give a little bit.
Give a little bit of your love to me.
Great. Obviously, it's got to be It's Raining Men.
I want to change my answer.
For a split second, I thought you said mine's going to be Israeli Men.
Israeli men.
Hey, I've got a
Weird
type,
Al's
okay?
in the house.
Israeli Men. It's pretty good, Weird Al. That's a gift for you.
Israeli men. Hey, man. That's funny.
A lovely song.
Oh,
No,
love
Dave, you've
song.
nailed it with It's Raining Men.
Okay, I've got that's my
That's
song.
how the groomsmen enter the reception.
Great love song. And I don't know, like, is this for the party after, or when's this for?
If it's just for a party, you just need floor fillers. You need
That's
scooter.
you
you
need-
need Bora Bora Bora.
Oh,
That's what you need.
Lucky, you need Earth, Wind and Fire.
Quando,
Yes.
Quando. Anything from Engelbert Humperdinck.
Yeah, obviously. Yes.
Gimme, gimme, gimme. A Man After Midnight.
Oh, that's a great one.
Just trying to think of
Anything ABBA, yeah.
anything with three words
Except the
repeated.
sad ones. Don't do the sad
A lot
others.
of men songs for you too, Dave.
Yeah.
It's Raining Men.
Gimme, gimme, a Man After
Man
Midnight.
After Midnight.
Macho, Macho Man.
Yeah.
Israeli men, of
Israeli,
course.
that's the
Your
Weird Al
cover of
cover.
it.
I'm blanking.
That's
I
all
can't.
right. We've nailed it.
What
so-
about Peach Boys rather? God only knows. Great track.
Oh
Great one.
yeah, that's
Beautiful
one of my all-time
song.
favorite tunes.
Beautiful
Great
song.
Beautiful.
What about Modern Kicks by the Exploding Hearts?
Okay.
Yes. I've heard of that band. I know them
Yes.
well.
Very well.
Just don't Google them.
Just don't look into what happened.
The Honeymoon is Over. The Cruel Sea. Might probably not be quite appropriate.
The honeymoon is over. It hasn't even begun.
What about Live It Up by Mental as Anything? Hey,
Oh,
you
baby,
there
live
with
it
the
up.
sad face. Come up to my place and live it up. Nah, I'm not good at this. All right.
What about na 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 na? Baby, give it up, baby, give it up. What about that?
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's a great track. That's a floor filler.
That's a floor filler.
What
Absolutely.
about Toxic by Britney Spears?
You laugh, but I nailed it.
Can someone get the video clip and when it gets to that bit, cut out and cut to Jess? Because that's funny.
I thought I did a pretty good job there.
What about Love Stoned by Juzzy T? That's is that a love song?
Matt, please.
Have you just Googled love? You've Googled love song.
Can
haven't
you
you?
just
No,
have
I'm
a
just
go
looking
at
at my
the
recent
toxic
playlist.
squeal? Can you do the toxic squeal, please?
Woo!
There you go. Now they've got all three.
That wasn't my serious attempt though.
Go on then.
Woo!
That's better. That's better.
Just carry the last note a little bit longer. You'd be right. If someone's an editing whiz.
All right, well, that takes us up to
Is the question Phil answered?
where we thank a few other of our great supporters from the Patreon, from DugonPod.com. Jess normally has a little game based on the topic.
I thought we could name their bands.
Oh, name the band. Fantastic.
Which I know seems like is that a bit too obvious? Is that dull, Dave?
No, I like it.
I think it's fun because
That's
Exploding
useful.
Hearts is a fucking great band name. I like that a lot. And we heard so many in today's report. So I reckon a band name. But I just want to make it very clear that none of the members of any of these bands are killed tragically in a car accident.
Oh,
Okay.
that's
To
great
make that
news.
nice and clear.
How are they killed tragically then?
Plane accidents.
Okay,
That was
Big
another way you
Whopper
could
style.
go. So I'm glad you didn't go down that path. Okay, well, if I can kick it off, I'd love to thank from Tacoma in Washington in the United States, Sarah Castaneda.
Castaneda.
And her band is the Seven Castagnas.
Oh, that's great. Is it a family band?
Yes.
7 or severed?
7.
7.
It's a 7-piece band.
Wow, love that.
Family band.
And what's Sarah or Sarah playing?
Lead vocals.
Hell
And
yeah.
tambourine.
Played with
Oh, hands.
hands. Okay, just checking.
Occasionally hit against a hip,
Oh, that's a good move.
but no genitals involved.
Yeah,
It's a family friendly band.
Yeah, of
yeah,
course.
yeah.
It's like a Jackson 5 type.
Yeah. No penises.
Sarah without an H, Sarah, or is it still Sarah?
Sometimes it's Sarah, sometimes it's Sarah. So it could be either there.
Sarah Castaneda, Sarah Castaneda.
I went to school at 2 girls had that spelling, and one was Sarah and one was Sarah.
That's tricky.
Absolute nightmare.
It was. And I was like, you guys need to sort your shit out.
Sort your shit out, guys.
Okay, I will not go to
Please.
school with people for 6 years having to remember how to pronounce your names correctly as you want them. So
That's not up to me.
sort your shit out.
Come on, all right. We're going to lock you in a room.
Everyone's name is Emily, okay? I'm calling everyone Emily.
Oh, I'm still Jess.
I'm still Jess. I'm different. I'm special. Everybody else, Emily.
Well, I am Emily. Well, no, you're Sarah. God, this is confusing.
I was a real nightmare.
Thank you very much, Sarah and or Sarah. Probably not and. And I would also love to thank from Prospect in South Australia, Brent Hills Hayes.
Hills
Oh,
Hayes.
that's great.
That's an incredible hyphenated name.
Hills Hayes.
Hills Hayes.
He'll,
If my surname was Hill or Hills, and my partner was Hayes, I'd be like, let's have some kids. We've nailed this.
this is great. What about Hills Hayes and the Kills Craze?
Whoa! Rhymes.com?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you've still got to come up with a rhyming title for this episode.
No, I don't.
The band that never was.
The bled that never blurs.
That I don't think you quite understood the task.
What do you mean? Did that rhyme? So I will expect a written apology from you
Okay.
in the coming weeks.
Okay.
Don't worry, get on rhymezone.com. That'll sort us out.
That's really good, Dave.
The
Finally,
Kills
from,
Craze.
Yeah, that's great.
finally from me, you wouldn't read about this. I'd love to thank from the Woodlands in Texas in the United States, Sarah or Sarah Sumner. What are the odds of that?
SARA again.
What about something that the stranded something? The stranded
Voice.
the stranded voice.
That sounds like an operatic metal sort of band.
Yeah. Or that my voice is cutting. My voice is stranded.
Yes.
That sounds like an album title almost, doesn't it?
Right.
Stranded
Okay,
Voice.
yeah,
Maybe it
okay.
should be something else.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
well,
John
I
Farnham
had
on
the
holiday.
idea. You added voice, and that
Yeah.
wasn't good.
Yeah,
And
and
then
that's what I'm saying. I'm giving it up. I'm saying.
Oh, voice.
Don't
Stranded
accept-
Rats.
I keep going to say Stranded 8. Stranded Rats is good.
I like it.
Stranded Rats.
That's better.
My reasoning behind that is there is a band called Sumner, and their song is Stranded, and it's really fucking good.
It's great reasoning. It's beautiful.
Thank
I love
you.
to see the working out.
Thank you.
Also, Sting's real last name.
Sumner?
No,
Really?
Stranded Rats.
His name is Sting Stranded
yeah.
Rats.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's Sting's real name? Is
Uh,
it Paul?
Gordon.
Oh, that's boring.
Yeah. Sometimes you understand.
I
Yeah.
wanted it to be Paul, which I thought was more
Something with a bit of
interesting.
pizzazz, like Paul.
You know.
Can I thank some people as well?
Oh, that'd be so fantastic.
I would love to thank from Brooklyn Park in South Australia. Gotcha. You thought America. Brooklyn Park. I'd love to thank Joe Walker.
Joe Walker.
The Fantabulous
Ooh.
Contraptions.
Hello. Whoa.
Oh, that's good. Almost a Simpsons reference there.
Almost.
Fantabulous
Yeah.
Contraptions. I like that a lot. What kind of band are they?
Eclectic.
Eclectic. Okay.
Oh, that means shit.
I
Yeah.
almost messaged you the other day, Dave. Are you familiar with a band called Dr. Colossus?
Oh, are they a Simpsons themed band?
Yeah. And their new album is called... Well, it doesn't even fit on this Spotify page I've got open. I'm a stupid moron with an ugly face and a big butt, and my butt... And it goes on.
My butt smells and I like to kiss my own butt.
That's funny.
That is great. So it's the Fantabulous Contraptions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great.
Great name. Love
Well
it.
done, Joe. And also, I would love to thank from Selena in Ohio, Jenna Schaefer.
Vending Machine Blues.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. That tells a story, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh, you got up there. You wanted a Mars bar. They've only got Snickers.
Oh, yeah.
That's
And-
the story.
I love it. I was picturing that it, when the spiral doesn't quite make it.
Yeah.
No. And ends up trapping you're like, all right, another $2. I'll get two.
Yeah.
Traps it again.
No.
Double or
No.
nothing.
Please.
Double or nothing.
Absolute nightmare. Finally, for me, I would love to thank from Caulfield North in Victoria, Ben Cardwell.
The Fearful Bears.
Oh,
that's good,
That's
actually.
very good.
And you want to show some working out there? Or?
The Caulfield local football team is called the Bears.
Brilliant.
And they're not very good.
They're a bit fearful.
Yeah, no,
Bit cautious.
they're probably fine. I don't know where Fearful came from. I just went the opposite of what a band normally is.
And if they ever get huge,
Yeah.
like massive, and then there's a cover band, they could call themselves the Bearful Fears.
Yes.
And fans would be like, oh, I
Little
get it.
spoonerism type
Yeah.
work.
That's good.
So you want to have options for a cover band that hopefully will pay you royalties.
Sure.
Just saying.
You got to think of everything when you're starting a business. I mean,
Exactly.
band.
Obviously, we were thinking that He'd Worn It would be the Weed Hornet cover band.
Of course, obviously.
Everyone starts a band thinking of the cash.
Yeah.
Right? Why else
You're
do you
smart
do it?
to.
Why else do you do it?
It's just good business sense.
All right, I would like to thank now from Alexandria in Virginia, over in the United States, Samuel Hanura. Samuel Hanura.
Leaving home.
Oh,
That's the band's called Leaving Home.
Leaving home.
I love that.
Okay.
I reckon that they're folky.
Yeah, probably.
I reckon,
folky,
yeah. They've got a banjo. Not on all tracks, but it does make an appearance.
Mm.
And at any point in the song, you can go, oh! And it works. That's folk, baby.
Yeah.
That's folk.
That's nice. That's nice. And is their symbol like a little house?
Yes.
Yeah.
With
I
a
love it.
With a chimney?
I'd have that album for sure.
Samuel,
I'd get
that's
that
cool
on
stuff.
vinyl. That's sick.
I would like to thank now from Mobile, or Mobile, they might say, in Alaska, Caleb Howard.
Caleb Howard.
Caleb Howard.
Digging Trouble.
Oh, that's a good country band. Diggin' Trouble.
Mate, you're so good at this.
Yeah, wow. I love it. Diggin' Trouble.
Just like two gibberish words together. Oh my God. You found your calling.
I mean, have you seen most band names? They're
Yeah,
terrible.
That's true.
Diggin' Trouble. Well,
I like
hello
it.
there. We're Diggin' Trouble. We're going to play some tunes. Sounds
They're
good.
They're
Yeah.
all like three. So that working out there was there's a Saints play called Dougal Howard. Dougal, Doug,
Yep.
Digging
Digging.
Trouble.
Yeah, that's great.
Brilliant.
Whereas the last one, Samuel's from Alexandria. Leonard Cohen has a song, Alexandra, or Leaving Home. Leaving Home's a Jebediah song. Doesn't matter. Sometimes it's fun to hear the workings out. Sometimes it's a dull fact.
Yeah, that's right. Officially dull over there. But it's also useful for us. And finally, I would like to thank from Sunshine North in Victoria here, Emma Northup.
Quick, Bob, think. Don't think. Say.
Stools.
Oh, I love it. Love
Great.
it.
Named after the useful item, household item, or shit. Yeah. Which one? One of those names you don't know.
Yeah.
Have you seen there's a restaurant up the road from here called The Blue Stool?
You should get that checked.
It's what a funny name for a place you go to eat.
You do not want blue stools. That's not.
But the fun part about the band Stools is that they're a bit in on the joke, and every time people say, where's the name come from, they tell a different story. So the true origin is never known.
But what is the true origin? What is the true origin?
No, it's not known.
Oh, they don't even know.
The true origin is an Australian woman on a podcast yelled it out.
Because that was what was in front of her.
They're working out. It's
right there.
The recording device is sitting on a stool. So
I was actually looking at that one though.
Oh, that's.
But there are three different.
You're telling me that's the one going in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame one day?
No, that one.
Oh,
that's not a. That's a little table.
That could be a stool.
Okay. Ah, you've really opened my mind.
This could be a stool right here.
What?
Oh my god!
That's
Everything's a stool.
So is it Emma Northup and the stools, or just the stools?
Oh, that's better.
I think it's just stools.
Okay.
Stools.
Yeah. Nah.
Oh, no,
Do you think that just sounds good?
Well, I like Emma
Hey guys,
Northup
we're
and the
stools.
Stools.
I like it when there's no.
It's with a Z though. It's with a Z.
Oh, okay.
Easy
So
to get the website.
It's a metal band.
Stools.com.
Well, thank you very much to Emma, Caleb, Samuel, Ben, Jenna, Joe, Sarah or Sarah, Brent and Sarah or Sarah. And the only thing we've got left to do this week before we boot this baby home is letting a few people into the, not letting them in, welcoming them in to the Triptych Club. It's a club in our minds, it's in our hearts, but it's also in Nuttawading. We have just opened a lease up on a factory outlet in the outer south.
Got a great prize. A real up and coming
west,
suburb.
maybe. No, I don't know where Nuttawading is really.
East,
Southeast.
southeast.
Yeah, it's got to be east, isn't it?
It's a great, but what a beautiful name for a suburb. And
Can you go on the Neighbours tour while you're there?
oh, is that where Neighbours is set?
Is it?
The house is in.
The house is there,
I
isn't
think
it?
it's in Vermont actually.
Oh, sorry, everyone.
Vermont, nowhere
Yeah,
near
mate.
as fun of a suburb.
Yeah,
name.
Nuttawading.
Nuttawading.
That's
Love that
comedic.
very much. So what we do here is people who have been supporting us for 3 years straight on the shout out level or above, and we just shouted out some people. So those people, will, if they hang around, will be in the Triptych Club down the track. But these other people we shouted out a while ago, and now we're bringing them in to the Triptych Club. The way this works is I'm standing at the door. I've got the velvet rope. I've got the clipboard. I've got the guest list. I'm going to welcome you in one by one. Dave will then hype you up because you want to feel good coming into the club.
Yeah, of course. This is like a Hall of Fame induction almost.
But it takes a lot of effort for Dave to put himself out there to hype them up. So Jess is there lifting Dave up with a little hype of her own. And Jess normally behind the bar has a cocktail whipped up. What have you got this week?
Yeah, all our food and drink specials this week actually do involve some pyrotechnics because they will all explode. As a tribute to Exploding Hearts, you order our Exploding Hearts signature cocktail and it explodes.
Wow.
But then instead of drinking it, you throw it in the air, it explodes, a bit like a grenade, but small, and then it bathes you in that drink.
Well, and then you just sort of absorb the liquor.
Oh.
Yeah. It's more of an experience.
Through the pores.
Yeah.
Great.
Yep.
Seeps in.
Put me down for one.
That
Yep,
sounds
you're welcome.
delicious.
We'll do.
And Dave, you normally book a band.
You're not going to believe it.
What?
You're not going to believe who I was able to get.
Who?
King? The King?
The King. Oh, no. Yeah, the King. Iggy Pop and the Iguanas.
Whoa.
Iggy and the Iggies.
Iggy and the Iggies. And there may be a few drop-in appearances from the Exploding Hearts.
Whoa.
Backed by King
Huge.
Louie with an unplugged-in keyboard.
And also a steering wheel. Just bashing out the drums.
And the Fucks.
Fucks.
Supporting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dick out.
Yeah, the lead guy from the Fucks.
It's just
We'll be on tambourine.
A bit overwhelming for young Josh. That's so
very
funny.
funny.
I totally get it. At 17, 18, I would have been like, feel confronted.
It's so funny to think I was possibly just standing right next to him at the time.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
But Josh is like cringing and Matt's going, yeah!
Chop, flop that chop, flop that chop.
Trying to get a chant going.
All right, so we've got a few here today. We've got 8 inductees into the
Brilliant.
club.
Okay.
So let's go through them. First up from Victoria in British Columbia, Canada, it's Katerina Gutierrez.
Ooh, Adarina!
Yes.
Like Ada. Oh, good on ya.
Atta girl.
Yeah.
At arena. Yes.
Adarina.
Got it.
Katerina Gutierrez. Hopefully I'm getting that right. Next up, welcome in, Katerina. We've got from Espoo in Finland. It's Henry Strandman.
Ooh, the Strand Man of the Hour.
Yes.
Espoo.
Will not leave you stranded. Welcome in from New Haven.
I've lost my headphones. Keep going. I'll never die. Come on,
From
keep
New
going.
Haven in
Here we
East
go.
Sussex in Great Britain, it's Peter Denya.
Ooh, good Enya.
Yeah, good Enya. You know, that's saying everyone says, good Enya.
It's like good on ya, but good Enya.
Keep going.
From Derby in Great Britain, it's Andy Conduit Turner.
Oh, the conduit turner of a good time.
Yeah, he turns up. Good time happening.
Yeah.
From Mullumbimby, New South Wales, Australia, it's Abby Garland.
Ooh. Garland. What a land.
It's like a garland is a thing you could...
Oh, yeah.
Like
is it?
toss a garland.
Oh, yeah.
Garland.
Toss a Garland. Toss an Abby Garland.
Yeah.
Still don't really get it, but sure.
It's okay, don't worry about it. You're nailing it.
From Bristow in Virginia in the United States, it's Stephen Jones.
Oh, Ben Jones in for a bit of Stephen.
Yes.
From Eastern Heights in Queensland, Australia, it's Kate Mallory.
Oh, Mallory. Come on in.
Why don't you come on in, Mallory?
Kate Mallory, that
Kate
is.
Mallory.
And finally, from the home of the Big Merino, Goulburn, New South Wales, Australia, it's Bron Livesey.
Oh, I woke up this morning feeling a little bit dead, but now I'm feeling alivesy. Bron.
Livesey.
Do go Bron.
Welcome in, Bron,
Do go,
Kate,
Bron.
Stephen, Abby, Andy, Peter, Henry, and Katerina. Welcome in, one and all. We can't wait to party with you and really rock out to the tunes of Iggy.
Oh, yeah. Can't wait. Thank you so much to everyone there.
And that really brings us to the end of the episode. Thanks so much for tuning in once again. Dave, you want to boot this home?
Yeah, sure thing. So only thing left to say is once again, thanks to Josh. Check out his podcast. We do love it. Don't you know who I am? You can get in contact with us at dogoonpod.com. There's links to Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, merchandise. Also our email, dogoonpod@gmail.com. But until next time, we'll say thank you so much for listening and goodbye.
Later.
Bye.